What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, before I go into this video, I want to make something abundantly clear. This video is not meant to be an attack on LeBron James in any way, shape, or form. LeBron James has had a tremendous bounce back season from last year when many people thought that it was almost a wrap for LeBron. While he's not playing at the level of his prime years, he's still playing at a very, very high level, all right, in his 17th season, which to me has only been matched by one other guy, in his 17th season, that being Kobe Bryant with the Lakers. I think it was a 2012-13 season when Kobe averaged over 27 points, 7 rebounds, and about 6 assists per game for the Lakers, if memory serves me correctly. Uh, and what has ended up being the last year I think the Lakers made the playoffs before Kobe ruptured his Achilles. The two only players I can think of off the top of my head that even come close to this level of performance would be uh, Karl Malone, who in his 17th season averaged about 23 and 8, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his 17th season, he averaged 23 points on 59% shooting for the Lakers when he was 39 years old. It should be noted that Karl Malone and Kareem went to college, so therefore they were older in their 17 seasons than LeBron and Kobe. And if LeBron is able to even play near this level of basketball next year in his 18th season, that would make him the greatest Methuselah in NBA history. Having said that, though, there is an obvious agenda from certain people in the media, all right, um, to prop up LeBron to the level of a god. Um, these individuals pictured here and various others, they have an agenda to put LeBron up to a stratosphere of godlike omnipotence, and anybody else that even poses a threat to LeBron in any way, shape, or form, whether it is individually or competitively, in any way, they will denigrate those players and criticize them and besmirch their talents, their abilities, and it's very unhealthy, in my opinion, to the NBA and its fan base. Um, it probably plays a very large role into why there's so much LeBron hate out there. It's not necessarily because LeBron James is a bad person, because he's not necessarily a bad person. He's narcissistic, but that can't be, you know, you can't really be too surprised about that, being that he's LeBron. But he's not necessarily a bad person. But I think the media plays a large role in that. It was partially one of the reasons why there was a small but significant portion of fans who hated hated Michael Jordan because of all the media attention that was out there. But now it's like an overkill on television, and you have social media now, and it is very irritating to certain fans. But what I've been seeing lately, it's on a whole nother level, and there's certain things that I'm seeing now which disgust me to the point where I had to do this video. I had to do this video, and up until today, I thought to myself, I'm not going to do this because, you know, uh, Kobe Bryant, when he passed away, just before he passed away, he said that he wanted people to embrace LeBron James as a Laker. So I took it upon myself to try to not criticize LeBron as much. Um, but what I'm seeing now it just bothers me. Number one, nobody seems in the mainstream media to give a fuck about Vanessa Bryant. Vanessa Bryant posted something on social media today that really just broke my heart. It broke my heart, man. She was talking about how she's still like basically coping with reality. Like she's still like she's just now starting to accept that her husband, her love of her life is gone, Kobe Bryant. She's just now starting to accept that as a reality, but she still can't accept that her daughter is gone. And she basically said something that made me really, really, really feel for her. She basically said, if you listen to what she posted, if you read what she posted, excuse me, that she really thinks it's unfair for her to go on while her daughter's life was cut short. That raised a red flag with me. Um, I, you know, all I'm saying is Vanessa Bryant, those who are around her, her real friends, her family, need to really be strong for her right now to be able to get through this. This woman has suffered an enormous tragedy. And to all of the people who lost loved ones in a helicopter crash, their families, their friends they need to support them as much as possible right now, because half of families and damn near entire families were wiped out with that crash. But what sickens me about the media, what has been sickening me, is you have some people in the media who are taking this tragedy and somehow linking it to LeBron. They're saying, well, in the MVP race, the burden that LeBron's carrying from the Kobe tragedy, that should weigh into this. Are you fucking kidding me? Look, LeBron and Kobe may have been casual friends, okay? Um, but I think that what the media is doing is a disservice to Kobe Bryant and his family. Don't ever fucking take his tragedy and belittle it into some type of motivating factor or some contrived motivating factor into why LeBron should get an MVP award. Don't ever fucking do that. You sorry sacks of shit. That's why ESPN ratings are down. That's why more and more people criticize ESPN. And that's why people like Stuart Scott and Ralph Wiley, you know what I'm saying? That's why so many of these guys are rolling in their graves, most likely now, at what ESPN's become, and Fox Sports One. You know, I'm pretty sure that the Kurt Gowdies and the Red Barbers and the Howard Cosell's of the world, if they were alive to see what journalism has degraded to now, it would be it would kill them all over again. Okay, so I got that out the way. Number two, as to what's bothering me, and shout out to Bruce Blitz for pointing this out a little bit on his Twitter. One of the main reasons that a lot of LeBron fans and those in the media would say that why LeBron deserves the MVP award every year is because, well, name another guy who leads his team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, win shares, PER, all of these things, right? Well, the thing that bothers me, in the month of November, when the Lakers were going through that run, they had the best record in the NBA, there was talk about Anthony Davis being the MVP of the league. But from certain people, mostly those pictured here, all of a sudden you started hearing a little bit more criticism about Davis. Suddenly you hear about him being brittle, you know, um, him needing to work on his toughness. Davis needing to work on, um, the injury bug that he has. Davis really still never has improved himself as a player. He hasn't had much championship experience, and LeBron can help him build that championship experience. And all these talking points to the point now where when you ask a lot of these guys, as pictured here, if you ask them who the Lakers MVP is, they'll say it's LeBron James. And I guess there's a case that can be made for that. But let me go with the LeBron formula. Okay, who leads the Lakers in points? That will be Anthony Davis. Okay, who leads the team in rebounds? That's Anthony Davis. Who leads the team in blocks? That's Anthony Davis. Who leads the team in steals? Not LeBron. It's Anthony Davis. Who leads the team in PER? It's Anthony Davis. Who leads the team in defensive win shares? It's Anthony Davis. Who leads the team in offensive win shares? It's Anthony Davis. Who leads the team in total win shares? It's Anthony Davis. Who leads the team in win shares per 48 minutes? It's Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis leads the team in so many different categories. Who leads the team in free throw attempts? It's Anthony Davis. Who leads the team in free throw percentage? It's Anthony Davis. So he's dominating the Lakers in so many different statistical categories, which has always been the talking points of guys like Nick Gonzo Wright and Shannon Sharp and Chris Broussard. But yet in this situation, it goes away from stats to experience and leadership. Now all of a sudden the talking points are a little bit different. It's about these intangibles now and not necessarily statistics. Whenever I would argue with LeBron Tars, over these old Cavalier teams, right? And I would mention, well, yeah, some of those guys didn't put up gaudy numbers, but Larry Hughes, he was a great defensive player. And I would say, well, the year before with the Wizards, before he joined, he averaged 22 points and led the NBA in steals. Yeah, but he wasn't doing that with the Cavaliers. Of course he's not going to average 22 points playing with LeBron James. And you know why? Because LeBron James, even though Davis leads the team in all these categories I mentioned, one of the categories that LeBron still leads the team in other than assists is what's the statistic called? I can't think of the statistic name right now, but basically, the stat where people who hold the ball all the time leads it in. I can't think of the stat on top of my head right now, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Uh, Possessions or having the ball all the time. He leads the team by a considerable margin in that statistic. So it's going to be hard for other people to lead the team in a lot of statistics when LeBron still has the ball all the time. Okay. So, but despite the fact that Anthony leads the team in all these stats, you don't hear his name pop up as much as far as MVP talk as you did a month or a month and a half ago. From the media's perspective, you even hear from Stephen A. Smith, he thinks that LeBron should be the MVP of the league. When I'll tell you that I think that the league, the, the MVP to me should probably be Giannis Antetokounmpo. But outside of Giannis, I would probably say maybe it is Anthony Davis. Because before Anthony Davis joined the Lakers, The Lakers weren't in the playoffs last year. In fact, they underperformed greatly. Now, with Anthony Davis on the team, they have the second best record in the NBA and the best record in the Western Conference. And in the games where Anthony Davis didn't play this year, the Lakers looked kind of mediocre. They looked like a team that would probably win 50 games, but not make it past the second round of playoffs. But with Anthony Davis, for all of the things that he brings with him, not necessarily being the toughest guy out there, and not having a lot of playoff experience and having the injury problems, but still with all of that, Davis makes the Lakers at least a championship contending team. Now, the reason why I have Kevin Durant up here is, of course, he's the first notable guy to mention that there's a toxic level as far as playing with LeBron. Not his fault, but the media makes it a toxic environment to play with LeBron James. And I think that this played a tremendous role in this past week as far as trades are concerned. And as to why the Lakers performed so miserably. I think a lot of players don't want to play with the Lakers, not because they don't want to play with LeBron James, but because of the fact they don't want to have to deal with the scrutiny of dealing with a media that will criticize any and everybody except for LeBron James for when they lose. It's almost like the LeBron fans and the media treat these guys like a new toy. When Anthony Davis signed the Lakers, he was a bright and shiny toy, and he was fun to play with for the media for a while. But when he began to lose his little luster after a while, then they began to throw him away, and they start becoming, they start becoming more objective, and then ultimately they start becoming more critical of this toy. That's just how they are with these players. Don't nobody want to come play with the Lakers. Why would you want to come play with a team where you know that you're going to be criticized if you don't meet the media's ridiculous standards? So I think that played a role as to why the Lakers didn't do very well come this trade deadline. And that may have played a role why they didn't get Darren Collison. Derrick Rose doesn't want to go there. He's already played with LeBron James and it didn't work out. So why would he want to go back and play with LeBron this time in an even bigger spotlight playing with the Lakers? So that's the thing, man. These guys, and don't get me wrong, I understand that there are the Doug Gottliebs and the Skip Baylesses and the Michael Rappaports, these ravenous anti-LeBron haters. I get that. I do. But these guys don't necessarily have the platform or the fan base, or they don't have the spotlight that these guys have. The Chris Broussards and the Nick Wrights and the Shannon Sharps, they have more of an audience than these other guys have. And with Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless cancel each other out. So that's why I don't make as many videos about those guys, because a lot of times those guys really don't have much of an audience. Another guy that's a LeBron fanboy, even though he can be a little bit more reasonable, of course, is Colin Cowherd. But we've seen it. We've seen it, guys. We've seen this with this team. Up until the time he decided to go to join the Clippers, a lot of these guys were praising Kawhi Leonard. Then when Kawhi Leonard went to join the Clippers, now all of a sudden everything that they saw good in him now became a problem. And that's just how these guys are. Okay, that's just how they are. I saw some of these guys praising Marcus Morris. Then all of a sudden, when Marcus Morris joined the Clippers, now all of a sudden they're saying, well, what did he do other than score 20 points a game on a bad team? Well, the day before that, you were saying he would be a wonderful addition to the Lakers, and he'd be the last piece that they need, the championship piece. Now all of a sudden, he's just a guy putting up good numbers on a bad team. That's what these guys do. Okay, so Shannon Sharpe, he's a known LeBron fanboy. All right, he has lied a little bit on television when it comes to stats. I remember catching him saying that Kawhi Leonard's best shooting performance in the season was 46%, which is a lie. Kawhi Leonard has consistently shot 50% or 49 to 50% from the floor in his career. This is a down year for him, shooting 46, 47%. That was a lie. Chris Broussard lies about his sources all the time. He is consistently wrong in a lot of his assertions. And the worst of them, of course, is Nick Wright. Nick Wright lies constantly. He belittles legends. He was caught talking shit about Kobe Bryant mere hours before Kobe tragically died in that crash, and then removed his tweet. He's a piece of shit. He's talked shit about Andrew Wiggins, a guy who he says the advanced advanced stats and advanced metrics show that he's a loser. But my assertion to Nick Wright in my video is that I did before. First of all, anybody who's averaging 20 points per game in their career is not a scrub. Number two, you can't really pile up win shares on a team, the Timberwolves, who during the 6 years that he's played there probably have averaged something like 27, 28 wins a season. And even with that, Wiggins has been the second and sometimes third option on offense. So when you're not the first option on offense, you're not going to collect a lot of win shares. And then on a team that doesn't win a lot anyway, of course he only has 14.7 career win shares. He's played on bad teams, really bad teams. The first year he played in the NBA, the Timberwolves only won 16 games. All right? They've been to the playoffs one time. They had one winning record in the 6 years he's played the Timberwolves. Every other year they've been horrible. Give this man a chance to go to Golden State. He'll be playing with a bunch of legends. He'll be playing on a great team for once, not a bad team. And playing in that culture in Golden State, give him a chance. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But there have been many good players who were languishing on bad teams, who, when they got a second chance, became sought after players. All right? One guy that comes to mind, and I made a comparison in my video, was Jamal Wilkes. Jamal Wilkes played on some pretty bad Golden State Warrior teams in the late 70s, went to the Lakers and won a couple championships. Andre Iguodala was the best player on some very bad post-AI Sixers teams. Played a couple years on some Denver Nugget teams that were so-so. Went to the Golden State Warriors and became an NBA champion, a Finals MVP. It would be very apropos if the Warriors won a championship next year and Andrew Wiggins, of all players, wins Finals MVP. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that'd be very apropos for that to happen, just to put egg in Gonzo's face. But that's it. That's all I got to say, man. You know, these guys to me are enemies of the state. They have a clear agenda, and these guys need to be called out more and more. You're seeing all these NBA players beginning to call these guys out. You saw Matt Barnes, you saw Kendrick Perkins call out Nick Wright. All right, you're going to start seeing it more and more, and these guys become more and more shock jocks of sports and say more ridiculous things and attack these players. It is not; these guys do not have an easy job in the NBA. All right, these guys are playing in a sport where there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress for these guys to perform. There's a lot of stress for these guys to win and live up to their big contracts. And while there should be some pressure on these guys to an extent, um, to question a player's uh, to question a player's relevance or a player's greatness because you're constantly comparing them to LeBron, I think that's unfair. Andrew Williams will never be LeBron James, but PER is not a perfect metric. If you look at PER, David Robinson is a greater player than Wilt. If you look at PER, okay, it's faulty. It's a faulty metric. If you look at true shooting percentage, James Harden is a better player than Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Larry Bird. And we all know that's not true. So there's some faults with these metrics. And it pisses me off that Nick Wright and others bring up these metrics as an end all be all. So that's it. That's all I got to say, man. Tell me what you guys think.